I believe every officer on the scene was in a bulletproof vest. I know one in particular was, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm sorry, I think there was a second part of the
Was
question.
the suspect affiliated with Tech?
To our knowledge, there's no affiliation with Tech. He's probably not from this area so far.
Is there a name for the suspect? Is there, and can we have a description of maybe what happened?
I can give you kind of a preliminary description of what happened. The name isn't going to be released till, again, next to Ken. There was kind of two incidents that overlapped. Our officers were doing their daily patrols out there, had pulled over an unrelated suspect, and in the midst of dealing with that traffic violation on the frontage road of Marcia Sharp, they noticed this is what they would view as a suspicious vehicle, which I guess since I've used that phrase, I'll go ahead and define. There was door open and it wasn't a normal parking spot, and the suspect was making some furtive gestures around the vehicle. So they went over to the scene to investigate what was going on, see if they could help. And from there, I really can't make many comments till they finish their investigation.
We have a question online, Chief. Can you give any kind of timeline of the incident?
I think the initial response was about 12:45, and it was over by 1. I mean, it's very preliminary, but it's in the middle of the night.
This is for President Skovanec, Jacob Lujan with the Daily Toreador. I'm a little curious about how the procedure went with notifying students. I know you said there was no imminent danger to campus, but in previous examples of emergencies, there's been tech alerts and emails to students. So I was kind of curious if you could break down how you guys went along with this.
As I mentioned, there was no immediate threat to the broader campus because the incident, they responded so quickly to the incident, and it was over very, very quickly. Because there are not many students on campus. We waited until this morning to issue a memo to the broader community. So this situation has some details that were peculiar to this that make it different from how we might respond during a normal school period.
I can add to that. Basically, there's a lot of factors that go into that: time of day, number of students, if it's close to a dormitory, whether it's contained or not contained. So these are a lot of factors that go into that. And the evaluation deemed that there was not a need for an emergency alert because it was handled quickly.
Do we have any update on the condition of the officers?
One officer has some additional medical procedures to undergo and is still at UMC. The other officer has been released and is home with his family, and that happened just in the last 30 minutes.
And when that name of the suspect is released, is it going to be Texas Tech releasing it or Lubbock Police releasing it?
Let me put it this way. I'm going to have to clear it with the Lubbock Metro Special Crimes Unit, and they may let us release it, but it's going to be on their say-so when all notifications have been made.
Officers responded, Chief Bonas.
Initially, it was 2 to the traffic stop. Backup officers rise for safety. In the middle of the night, we always have officers. So ultimately, when it was going down, I believe there were 6 officers on scene before it ended.
There's a question about whether this was off campus or on campus. So for people who are maybe unfamiliar with Texas Tech University, can you kind of talk a little bit about the landscape and where the incident occurred?
It is just so we're clear, the traffic stop would be described as campus adjacent initially that brought our officers to the scene. The actual event occurred very close proximity to Gate 3 of Jones Stadium, which would be campus proper.
Do we know how many shots were fired by the suspect?
There is an estimate, but Lubbock Metro is going to have to do the forensics and verify.
And then do we know if the suspect shot from his car or did he get out of the vehicle? Anything like that?
Again, we got to wait for the investigation to determine all the events and how they unfolded.